No matter what you did in the military, you got the training that I got. Every 4 weeks, you got sat down and you got told, take a different way home from work than you took yesterday. Switch up your routes. When you're out in public, make sure you're aware of everything around you. This hypervigilance is really important. And you get out and you don't need any of that. It's weighing on you. It's taking up brain power. It's taking up space in your consciousness. And it is affecting you and the people around you. You don't want to isolate yourself from your family. You want to go and do those things. But if you can't go sit at the park and just be there with them and not be on duty, watching the perimeter and watching everything, cars go in and out, what are we doing? You're not comfortable. You're not at ease. You're not productive. It's stagnation. If you can't get outside yourself and outside the things that are in conflict within you, there's no real progress. You're not moving forward to the next thing.
This is the second episode of Make the Connection: Real Veterans, Real Stories. In each episode, we'll explore different topics related to veterans' personal experiences with mental health challenges and how they found support. In this installment, we will hear from 3 veterans as they discuss how they were able to acknowledge their difficulty transitioning to civilian life and take the first step to reach out and get the help they needed. Since its launch in 2011, Make the Connection has interviewed over 600 veterans from all service eras and military branches. They got help, and their lives got better. So can yours. Tristan, who served in the U.S. Navy, summarizes some of the unique challenges with flashbacks and hypervigilance faced by veterans when they leave the military. What do you do with the skills you relied on while serving? Many veterans come home to find that there is no off switch. Whether you served during war or peacetime, deployed or served at home, your experiences in the service, both positive and negative, have made you a different person than you were before your service. Stressful situations may have resulted in habits or ways of coping that can be misunderstood or problematic in civilian life. But as we will hear from these veterans, it is possible to cope with these challenges and live a healthy, fulfilling life after the military. First, let's talk about flashbacks. A flashback occurs when you feel as if you are re-experiencing a traumatic event. You might remember everything about the event as if you were going through it again, often in vivid detail. You might have the same feelings or physical sensations that you had at the time of the event. Flashbacks can be a symptom of a number of disorders, including anxiety, depression, eating disorders, schizophrenia, and PTSD. They can also be rooted in near-death experiences, homesickness, sexual trauma, or a substance use disorder. The VA offers professional treatment, including group therapy or prolonged exposure therapy, that can help veterans understand their thoughts, triggers, and reactions, and teach them techniques for coping with stressful situations. Chris, a U.S. Marine Corps veteran who served in Iraq, awoke in a hospital with casts on both legs and one arm, but no memory of what got him there.
Chris, United States Marine Corps, February 2005 till May 2010. I served in Iraq in 2007. I woke up in the hospital and I was in a coma for a couple of days. And I could barely remember Iraq. I could barely remember much of anything. And when I asked the doctors, they didn't know what the hell happened to me either. They were like, you got blown up. The nightmares started, the hallucinations. I started seeing crazy things and I couldn't sleep I couldn't sleep at all. Everything was so loud now. My hearing was virtually gone, but I could still hear everything. Everything sounded like a freight train. If somebody walked down the hallway, I could tell you what kind of shoes they had on. The hypervigilance, I guess that's a major sign of PTSD. And it was like, I had it to the extreme. I got moved from Bethesda Navy Medical Hospital on the East Coast and got put in the National Navy Medical Center in San Diego and went through treatment there. I got a little burn on my right hand, and that was from when my rifle exploded, I guess. That's what I was told. I started hallucinating and I started seeing my rifle explode again and all these crazy things because I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping for maybe a good 2-3 weeks. When I did sleep in the day, I would have nightmares about getting mortared and from the fireworks. I'd be at home walking down the street and then the mortars would be coming in and it's just screwy. After that, I really didn't want to go outside at all. I call it a bubble. It happens when you get back and it happens when you're injured. You go into this bubble. And the bubble, you don't want to leave. It usually consists of home, work, and a select few friends. And you don't want to interact with anything outside of that bubble. You don't want to go to stores. You don't want to go to movies. For the longest time, all these great opportunities were coming up, and because I was in my bubble, I refused to participate in them. I wasn't going to do anything. What really helped me was just talking to people that knew what I was going through, talking with the other guys. Talking with therapists helped, and the psychologists, it helped. But I got the most help from sitting down and talking with my other boys that were there, that knew that we're going through this and they've made it past it. That helped a lot.
Similarly, Hector, whose service in the U.S. Army, the Reserve, and the National Guard included 13 deployments, experienced flashbacks and says what he saw in Kosovo in the late 1990s affected him once re-entering civilian life. Back home, Hector was physically in Minnesota, but his mind and his senses were engaged in a military operation overseas.
My name is Hector. I served in the Army for 18 years, and I got out as a first sergeant, E8. Some of the things that I saw, I've been a lot of places. I've seen poverty, I've seen hopelessness and helplessness, I've seen death, and some of those things were already triggering me. But when I saw innocent civilians being just slaughtered and not being able to do anything about it, that's when I started questioning what I'm doing. I'm supposed to know everything that's supposed to happen with me. I'm supposed to be mentally fit, morally straight, physically strong, and all these other things. I never fail my comrades. I always keep myself ready to go on a moment's notice. And here I was, once in a while my hand would shake. I would be seeing demons, is what I call the demon chasing. I would wake up in the middle of the night, sweats. I really started going off the map. I really started coming out a lot more as far as my irritability, my anger. It was starting to get me into trouble. My subordinates were starting to become a little bit scared of me. I was doing things that were, to me, everything was life and death. I actually got into trouble. January 24, 2004, I was in a dissociative state. I faced off with 8 Lakeville police officers here in Minnesota. And I thought that I was facing off with an armed combatant, one individual, only one. And when I finally started coming through on all this, I started realizing either I've lost my mind or something else is going on here, or maybe all of the above. It was when I was in jail, actually, that my lawyer, who was retained, came and visited me and said, Hector, there's 1 of 2 things going on here. I'm willing to take your case, but I need to know which one you are. You're either a person who needs help or you're a criminal. Which are you? I'm not a criminal, sir. Yeah, but I'm asking you, are you a person who needs help or a criminal? I'm not a criminal, sir, and I don't need help. He's like, no, Hector, you don't get it. You're either a criminal or you're a person who needs help, which is it? So he forced me to say I need help. And it was the hardest words that I ever had to spit out. At that point, it was just coming all out. I realized that I do need help, and I'm able to say it. It wasn't easy, it hurt, but that was the point where it finally came together.
After successful therapy through VA, Hector realized that his flashbacks were a normal response to his not-so-normal experiences in Kosovo and elsewhere.
The therapy worked, and it was beautiful. I came to a position where at one point I was like, yeah, I can do this. Helplessness, hopelessness, had a lot of nightmares, but I was processing it finally. I was talking about it, and somebody was normalizing it for me, telling me what you went through is not normal, and therefore what you're going through now is normal.
Not all flashbacks are as severe as Hector's, and some last only a second. They can be brought on by innocent events that call to mind a traumatic experience. Crowds, parades, fireworks, loud noises, movies, and TV shows are common triggers, but flashbacks can come from anywhere. And flashbacks are just one of the unique challenges that some veterans may face after service. Returning to civilian life presents new opportunities and challenges for veterans. Your military training taught you the importance of being observant and alert when you need to be. Hypervigilance, a state of being on very high alert or constantly on guard, goes beyond that, and it can interfere with your ability to enjoy life or even just get through the day. Taking the first step to seek support helped Tristan ease the constant anxiety he was feeling during his transition back into civilian life.
Once you get in and start to deal with things and start to first realize what's happening and then how to deal with it, you find all the extra time in the day, and you find how much easier it is to realize the potential you have. It's so cheesy, but you can do a lot more with your day when you're not stuck on, can I even get out the door? Do I want to get on the freeway right now? There are 5 lanes on that road. That's a lot. Just the everyday anxiety of being in transition is a lot. And who deals with it better than providers at the VA? They see it all day, every day. Even as unique a situation as you might be in, it still falls under a category or concept that they know how to deal with. And once you start to get that tool bag of, all right, starting to get palpitations and nausea right now and I'm at the mall, what do I do? There's no reason for this. Let's continue with my day, with my life.
You can live a healthy, fulfilling life after service, no matter what you saw or experienced in the military. You may not be who you were before, and that's okay. As Hector puts it, what you went through is not normal, and therefore what you're going through now is normal. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Make the Connection, Real Veterans, Real Stories, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. In our next episode, we will feature the story of one veteran whose path to recovery meant learning how to practice forgiveness. Visit MakeTheConnection.net, an online resource designed to connect veterans, their family members and friends, and other supporters with information, resources, and solutions to issues affecting their lives.